What's the deal, my people? You know it is the Don, Tony, Teflon, the lady Elamar, and where Elamar is in the building. You know what it is. What's the deal? You are now listening to the sexiest podcast in the world, the lady the Don, Elamar. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm always better when I'm here, Tony. It's like a fix it all kind of thing. How are you,
It,
Tony?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Still a little under the weather. I mean,
Mhm.
still, Jesus, this thing's got to go away. But everyone
Yeah.
tells me it's about 2 to 3 weeks thing that everyone's got. So,
Uh,
I'm on pace. I'm better, but not at 100%. But hopefully, I will be there. What up to my familiar in the building, rocking with us? We truly appreciate you coming. We're gonna get Almar's opinion on the episode because we haven't heard from her yet, and then we're gonna go into all these theories for the next season. I'm going to tell you everything that I think is going on and what I think is going to happen next season. We're going to go through all that. Again, we have the phone lines open, so you could always call in and talk to us and let us know what you feel about it. So let's say what up to the people in the chat right now. We got our girl right here. Nini is in the building rocking with us. Thank you for joining us. OW is in here. Sonic your boy is in the building rocking with us. Missy is in here. Greek girl is in here. Bianca is in here. People, this thing goes pretty fast. Let's go. Sprinkle Kitty is in here. Wolf Spear is in here. Gold Soul is in here. Ebony is in here. Rick is in here rocking with us right now. Prime, the kid next door. Isley Claymore, Matthew, Alvin Rogers is in here. Peter Griffin is in here. Golden Child is in the building, rock with us. Nigel Hirsch is in here with us. Holyfield Himothy is in here. Chuck is in here. We've got a bunch of people in there. I appreciate everybody being in here. I'm going to get a throat lozenge, but that being said, I'll be able to hear you. Elamar, what did you
mhm.
think about this season finale?
I loved it. I really, really loved it. I think in general, there's not. I was hoping for a good ending, as in, ending that they're gonna finish it strong, and that I think they very much did. There were parts, as far as I was shocked. I did get my gore. I loved it. My favorite scene, not that, Jim died, it being my favorite. I mean, actor. Oh my god. The moment I start hating the character, I know that the actor playing that role is doing an amazing job, because to hate to be bothered by a fictional character,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot. So I loved it. I loved, not everything about it, but I loved it enough to be completely just glad that they ended it like that. I liked it. Yeah.
That is what's up. What about the drama that we've seen? Boyd, Elgin, do you
Oh.
think that this repercussions is going to come back to hurt Boyd in any way?
Oh, the whole, let me get them pliers. Let's see what else we have in that tool shed. Yes, I at this point, I wonder how many people in the town, aside from the group that we normally see, how
Mm-hmm.
many of them are the new people, meaning the ones from the bus versus the older people from back then. The older people would know better. Than to be like, okay, this is from town, this is the place we live in, it's not a regular place. However, the newer people, I can see them being like, oh my god, there's a killer out there. So I see there should be some kind of a consequence. There should be a consequence to any of that, to any of those actions. However, I don't see how every rule that they had back then would apply. I don't see those rules applying. I
Yeah,
see a lot of awkwardness. Like, okay, let's take a long, you on that side, I'm gonna go on that side, because they'll be torturing people here. I better get out of here when he rings that bell. I'm gonna go home, because who knows what he's gonna do. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird.
yeah. I think that how about the people there actually, like, if Boyd gets in trouble, does everyone else have to
Hmm.
get in trouble who was there?
I would
Is,
say
is
yes.
Kenny in trouble? Is Donna in trouble? Or the people who
Mhm.
there who got cleared the house from, stood
Yep.
outside from, do they get held to the same fire as Boyd?
I technically, if somebody's gonna get in trouble, all of them should get in trouble. I mean, they were there. If there should not be a scapegoat, or not even that, there shouldn't be the one that they sacrifice. There should be everyone or no one. And they can't put everybody in the box. Like, what are they're gonna suffocate? No, not technically, but there has to be something. No, it has to, as in, like, I see something being off, the whole vibe of the whole town being even more off than it is right now. So they're either gonna drop it because everybody's involved technically,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just odd, very, very odd. It will never be the same as it was before. How do you see it, Tony? What's
Yeah.
your
I think that if they're gonna bag Boyd, I mean, and everyone's gonna know about it, especially if Elgin is still alive, which I think he is. We
Mhm.
think Elgin's still
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, I think so. I mean, he looks like a healthy man, so it's not like he's gonna die of a heart attack. People have survived more, and he looks healthy, so I don't see him dying.
Yeah. So, boy, if he's still alive, then you have to bring in Christy, right? And you
Hmm.
bring in Christy to tend to his eye. She's gonna say what happened, right? Do they
Oh, I
tell?
fell.
Yeah. Do they tell him to say, "Listen, shut your mouth and don't say nothing," or do they say, he tells her, and if he tells her, then you have Elgin, and now you have Randall, right? Two people who are not with Boyd. Boyd left Randall out there,
Mhm.
so he's going to be mad. Now Elgin would have a bone to pick. We did see Randall and Elgin do some communication this season, so it could be some type of duo there where they can say, you know what, fuck Boyd, he ain't the man
And
for the
he's a
job
big
anymore.
man too.
This and
He
that.
like although he's a Elgin is a very, I would say, nice, air quotes. I mean, he kidnapped a pregnant woman, but I can see him like a gentle giant, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Very on cause, not selfish. He was willing to almost die at this point. But I don't know. People change. This town changes people. So who knows? Maybe we're going to see that change in him. That would be a crazy thing to see Elgin being turned into the opposite of himself.
Yeah, I think the fact that Kenny took the deputy badge back,
Mm-hmm.
right? He didn't want to be the sheriff. He said, "I don't want to be the sheriff." And then you also have Boyd saying, "I need you to hold this. And there can't be some hothead like Acosta," which her name is
Right.
Danny. We got that.
Yeah.
So we got that reveal in this episode
Yeah.
that it's all foreshadowing Kenny taking over the whole position. I don't think they're gonna have Kenny in Colony House. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna wind up in where Boyd's at, and
Mm-hmm.
Kenny will be the sheriff of the town, and Boyd will either have to give it up and just not be that instrumental, maybe move to the new settlement over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's going to do something. So thank you for the super chat. And see, Ricky says, how many episodes till Acosta gets her bullets back? I say she gets it back within the first episode of next season.
Yeah.
Me personally.
With all this stuff happening, I see that. I agree with what you're saying. I see that happening. That kind of makes sense. Even in a town that's full of chaos and gore, there are some rules, right? So I can see them trying to get the rules back, some kind of
Mhm.
rules back.
100%. OW, member for 6 months. Thank you for so much being a member. At least we've got some answers, but who is the man in yellow? The man in yellow, we'll talk about that real quick. We'll go through them. The gym death, all right? How did you
Yes.
feel about the gym
Oh
death?
my God,
I don't know,
Tony.
Jim wasn't your favorite guy, but still, it was
Yeah.
an emotional thing. And
Mhm.
was it unexpected for you? Tell me how when it played
Um,
out. How did that?
like I mentioned, like he was. If they had done a couple more episodes, let's say second episode in, where he's turning around, like doing the 180, trying to be a better man, better whoever, just bettering, I
Mhm.
would be like, oh, like, yeah, okay, sure, people change, that's fine. They did it with he changed, and I think it was in the next episode they killed him. I'm like, of course, they were setting it up, so I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
please, like, yeah, I want him to die, I want it to be great. And Tony, they did not disappoint. The way he ripped at his throat, the gush of it, can you imagine? Oh my God, just I could just imagine how warm that blood was. Just like, oh, anyway, I love that stuff. So yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. I saw it coming. I was waiting for it. It was it's nice. I still like the fact that they did the whole, oh, he's changing, not changing enough apparently, being extra, physical with
Mhm.
emotions. Like, okay, well, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. What about you? What did you
Yeah, I
feel?
knew I didn't think they had the balls to do it.
Mm,
I felt like they were building up to it, but I really didn't think they'd have the balls to actually kill him. But they did kill him, and
yeah.
I don't mind him being dead at all, 100%. Thinking of it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving in the chat.
Happy
My
Thanksgiving, everyone.
my daughter sent me something uh
Ooh,
for Thanksgiving. I guess she's just feeling herself a little bit, so I'm gonna play it for you. It's only 15 seconds.
awesome.
Nothing. People, I don't really show my children at all, but I'll show this one thing of her real quick.
That is so sweet. Oh my goodness. That is beautiful. Those are such sweet things that children do, and they make us cry. Well, cry. I don't know if you cry, but happy tears, like the little
Yeah,
choked up a little bit.
yeah. My baby girl,
Mm,
now she's not a little girl anymore. Now she's
yeah,
a couple of years in medical school and everything else and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So,
nice.
she's a beautiful girl. She's beautiful inside and out. She's a much better person than she is good looking and stuff. So, that's what's really important and everything else like that. All right,
Very sweet.
going back into the situation and everything else,
Mhm.
into this show. The man in yellow comes out of nowhere. What do you think about this man in yellow?
They need a laundromat over there, don't they? They all need to wash their clothes. Like, I don't know. He was dirty and weird
He
looking.
was
Like, oh my
dirty.
god! Like, what hole did you crawl out from? Like, ew, I mean, where? I was
So
like,
let's look at
oh,
differences between him
mhm.
and the monsters real quick.
Yes,
Number one, he's out in the
really.
daytime.
Mm-hmm.
The monsters come out at night. Number two, his clothes are dirty. The monsters'
Mm-hmm.
clothes are always clean.
Yeah.
Right? These are significant differences that we see here from them. And I know it makes we're dirty clothes and clean clothes, but there's a reason why they show these monsters with clean clothes all the time. We don't
Mm-hmm.
exactly understand why, but there's a reason why they don't have dirty clothes on. But
Yeah.
when they're in the cave, the clothes are dirty
Yeah.
in their regular monster form. But when they come out, those clothes are clean.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at this situation, the only thing I can think of is that this has to be some type of glamour
Yeah.
that's projected over them. Because if it's not a glamour, right? Say they just change into these normal looking people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The clothes would not be affected, right? You
Yeah.
would still have the
Yeah.
dirty clothes
Oh yeah.
with the
If
normal
any of them
looking people.
left, right?
Yeah.
Tore up, blood and guts all over.
Mm-hmm. You would have that. But the fact that the clothes are clean means that this has to be a glamour that's projected over the whole body and their
Mm-hmm.
whole clothing system to make it look like they're these clean people. Therefore, if it's a glamour, this is easily could be some type of a spell, if you want to say
Mm-hmm.
that it's magic, which glamour sometimes are, or it could be some type of cloaking device that's over them, that's holding over them and stuff, right? So that they present themselves that way.
Hmm.
And then the cloaking device is deactivated when they turn into their regular
Yeah.
form or something like that.
That's interesting. So with that, when you mentioned that, do you think that technically anything that is in Town, like anything in that village, is it technically a glamour projection? Would it, is it like they whoever creates all that entity, let's say, makes decisions on what people will see, like the missing motel and who knows what else is missing from over there. So do you
Mhm.
think it's there somewhere? Technically, physically not, because nobody's bumping into nothingness, they're going through it. So I wonder if it's selective of what they can see and what they can interact with. That's a cool thing. That I love that. It must be that part of technology that I'm waiting a couple seasons from now to see. They will not reveal it right away, but I see it coming.
Yeah, without a
The
doubt, it's definitely going
explanation.
to be. I mean, listen, it's listed as a sci-fi horror.
For a reason.
They're gonna have to bring in the sci-fi at some point
Yeah.
and stuff. But those are the interesting things, and it seems like this guy, in the form that he was in, though his eyes were really black, you could see them changing from
Yeah.
black to regular, from black to regular. Right? They kept changing back and forth when he was there. They didn't stay. And you could say maybe that was camera angles or shots, but to me, it looked like they were changing back and forth,
Yeah.
depending on the scene that he was in. And he seemed to easily overpower Jim, even though he appears to be, I would say, someone in his late 70s.
It's hard. I mean, with all that dirt on him, I don't know. Yes, he's not. He does not look young at all. He looked more of
I mean, Victor's dad is
Yeah.
in it's 70, right? He
Hmm.
looked older than Victor's dad. And
Yeah.
Victor's dad's 70. The actor who plays him is 70
Yeah.
years old.
The strength not of a 70-year-old man, but definitely he's not a human. I don't see him human,
Mhm.
of course. So
Yeah, I think people get confused with like ages and stuff. Like, Boyd, the actor, is 61 years old.
hmm.
You
Is
know,
he now?
yeah, he's 61 years old.
Wow. Well, good for him.
Yeah, he's 61 years old. So when you look at an actor, I think people look at them and people can't guess their age or don't get their age. You know, how old they actually are and stuff. I mean, he's been around for a very long time, the actor who played Boyd. So yeah, he's 61 years old. You know what I mean? So it's not like, so when you look at these guys, he's only 9 years younger than Victor's father right now.
Wow.
You know, he's 10 years older than 11 years older than the actor who plays Victor, who's like 50, 51 or something like that. You know, but he doesn't look at, black don't crack.
No.
That's just the way it goes. You know?
That's what I was saying. Like, he looks amazing. Yeah.
You know.
For him. Good for him.
Like, so we have this guy in yellow shows up in his dirty yellow suit.
Oh God.
Do you think the color yellow? People are saying in here, yellow symbolizes something. What about you? Do you think yellow symbolizes something?
Yeah, I do look into all that. I don't know what it actually symbolizes. In general, yellow, I'm thinking of personally of, let's say, Easter, rebirth, and all that stuff. From the way what we technically know about Easter, as far as the origins of Easter, and the yellow and the little chicks, the little chickens and all that stuff, the flowers. I forgot what they're called, whatever, buttercups or whatever they are. They're yellow. It's like the first thing in the spring. So rebirth. And an interesting thing, like I think I was mentioning it a couple of streams ago, I do love looking into names. I found it, as writing stuff, I look into names and the meanings of it. And something funny, was it Boyd? I was looking into the different, Boyd as in, name versus Boyd as in the buoy, I think it's called, in the water. But Boyd, it actually meant yellow hair or something. And like, he definitely does not have yellow hair. So what's up with that? So the yellow, they wouldn't just pick names because, I'm going to open on page whatever, hit this is going to be, and they choose everything. Everything has a meaning over there. I believe everything has a meaning. And for yellow, for me, I think of it as rebirth, just based on, Easter and all those little traditions that I actually have in my family. So what about you? What do you think about the yellow? Did you look it up? I didn't look up for the show or what it could be. I just know from personal stuff. Did you look anything up for that?
Well, yellow seems to be, it's like in the middle. I think of yellow. I think of the sun, the rising of the sun, right? It's the bright yellow. Springtime, the flowers are yellow and they bloom in the spring. I think of yellow as when you see it in signs, it always means caution. Like, it always means cautions, cautionary signs, and everything else like that. David says here the yellow sign is, excuse me, is a reference to the play The King in Yellow, which carries a curse. It symbolizes forbidden knowledge, which would make sense because we did hear him say something about knowledge and Jim having too much knowledge is not a good thing. and that's why I had to take Jim out. People are
Yeah.
saying yellow was death. I don't know. I've never heard yellow is death. I've
Death?
never heard that.
No.
Jeez.
Um, Yellow, like in flowers, I know again tradition from Poland, we would not do yellow flowers. They meant what do you call it? Oh gosh, when you're envious of somebody. So like you wouldn't give anybody yellow flowers. It shows like that you want something they have. You know, so they wouldn't be given as gifts, basically, yellow flowers, because it's like, oh, there you go, and I want your things because I want to have them. Um, so it's like taking possession of somebody else's thing. So that could make sense too, you know, the whole possession of, okay, I'm going to take your kids and here you go, there's something, but I'm going to take what's precious to you. So I like that. An interesting idea of that.
100%. Nick Next Studio says, I have a theory. The man in yellow is just one of the group. Well, I've said that myself. It's pretty obvious to me that he's one in the group. Again, when said, and I've said this many times, y'all have heard me say this, that when Sarah hears the voices, she always says it's multiple voices, that they are laughing. That's a bunch of people there. So it is not just one person there. So I've said that, and so I agree with you there. Because they surveil the town from the motel. That is new. That's something I never heard before. All right. The group surveils the town from the motel. Julie will save Jim eventually. That's where they get the idea to go for Julie to go back and save the children. So I've said the last part to myself that Julie will go back and save the children. Did a video about that already. So I agree with everything, but the new part that I've never heard before, so I'll credit you for this, is that the group is inside of the motel surveilling the town. What do you think about that? Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I think we might have actually talked about it. We were joking a little bit. I was mentioning how Phil has, you know, he loves Star Trek. Is it Star Trek? Yeah. And I loved it too. And I, you know, watch it as well. Not anymore, but I used to. And there was this episode where they had a mountain and there were scientists observing this village of people who have no idea of, you know, like the natives, I guess, of that planet. So yeah, it wasn't visible. Again, details are kind of fuzzy, but they were hidden in that and nobody knew about it. And they were, the people who were observed did not know that they were being observed. So that's really interesting. It would be really cool. The only difference between that is the mountain was there and the motel is not. It's just like out there somewhere. That would be pretty cool. I would like that. That gives the whole sci-fi science fiction component to it as well.
I gotta get a stronger cough drop. I got a stronger one. I'm gonna get one real quick. Ethan said, Bianca says, Ethan said the story Walker can't change the story. He did say that, but we did see Julie go back and drop the rope. So she did change the story. When she was talking to Tabitha and Victor, when not talking but screaming at them, she did not change anything there. What do you think? Do you think? I think that the fact that she dropped the rope means that they can change the story. She's able to change the story. I am concerned about the ability to do such a thing because it leads to we can fix any problem that the show don't like. Like if the show does something and they don't like it, we can just go back in time and change it.
Yeah, so nothing has a meaning.
It's a cop out. It's easily be used for a cop out and easily can be used to try to fix something and everything else. Michelle Williams says perhaps she dropped the rope before the story had been told. All right. So I guess what Michelle is saying that she dropped the rope before Boyd told the actual story of what happened to him. Right. So before he went into town and told the story, I would guess, and tell somebody, it would have been able to be told because the story was still playing out at that time.
I believe that first of all, it shouldn't be that easy, you know, like, oh, let's go. It depends on who maybe the main character, and I don't mean main character of the show, is main character of this whole energy place. Like stories, right? Writing stories. Some stories you write in pen, but some are written in pencil. So I believe that they can change I believe that some things can be changed, and some have to happen in order for other things that are important to happen. I mean, everything technically is important, but some things I think can be adjusted, which means changed, without changing some other heavier things. So I don't know how heavy Jim's death is. I don't know if we could watch it a couple more times, different ways of him dying. I would love that, but that would be an extra thing. But I think if he needs to die for some other things, he's like that, like a point of no change, basically. Then we won't know it until we see it, right? But I do believe that some things could be changed slightly, which would not change any future bigger things. So if Jim's death is important enough, I see it as being impossible to be changed. Whereas, if he dies or live and it doesn't matter, then I think events like that, that have no consequence on other things, those could be. But again, we won't know until we see them, until we see the so-called bigger picture. But I do believe things can be changed to some extent, very small, even like, the little movements can have big waves, but still, not affect other things that have to stay the same. A lot of talking,
Yeah.
I know. It's time travel. What do you think, Tony?
It's hard. There's two ways to do time travel. A Forever Autumn says his death is fixed point in time. All right. So there's two ways to do time travel. Either you do a time travel movie where if you change certain events, it changes the future. And that would be the Back to the Future type of time travel movie, where you would see him in the picture start to fade away because he's changing events that would affect the future. Or you do it in a way where you change the events, but the main timeline branches off to a secondary timeline.
Okay.
And there's a whole different timeline.
Yeah.
So the main timeline stays the same, but when you change that effect, it makes another timeline. And now you're on that timeline instead of the main timeline.
Yep. I see that diagram from the movie. I love that movie. Yeah.
So it depends which way they're doing it. And we won't know until they do it some more.
Yeah.
That we actually know. What do you think about Julie when she comes back and tries to save Jim?
Oh, he's so stubborn.
On the face and the new hairstyle.
Oh my gosh, her wig threw me off. I'm sorry. budget. Did they really have to cut anyway? Yeah, maybe this is a wig, as in like actually. I wonder if there's a reason for her to look like she looked at that moment, but it was very odd. Of course, she was somebody from the future. I wonder how far out in the future. But as we could see, Jim, he is a stubborn man. Very stubborn to literally he will die on that hill. And he did. Thank you, Jim. But some people just can't be saved. But then again, it comes to if she didn't do much, she could have been okay. She could have been okay. I'm gonna go back into the past, and I'm gonna try to save my dad. Okay, what do I say? It's like an interview. Practice. Say, Dad, you, me, Dad away. Thing over there, no good. You go. No stick. Let's go. There is a way. Save words. I'm like, oh my God. Like, people, make a plan. But of course, movie had to happen. Gore had to happen. But there could have been a different approach to it. We don't know how many times she's done it. If it's more than once, she needs to step up.
Yeah, well, she says that I think this is the time.
Okay,
when it happens. So she must have attempted it and came too late or came at a different time. And this time when she got there, she said, I think this is finally the time when it happened. Because when Jim actually dies, we don't see Jim die the first time. This is her coming back, no matter how many times she's came back. So Jim is already dead. So when Jim encounters the man in yellow, when he dies initially, it's just Jim and the man in yellow.
Yeah.
The whole thing that happens with Julie never happens. It's
because
just the
he's somewhere
man in
else at
yellow.
that time.
Yeah, the man in yellow comes over. He says something to Jim. Whether he picks up a stick and tries to fight him, we don't know. But eventually, he will die getting his throat slit. We know he dies like that because obviously they're going to have to show that in next season. That being said,
Mhm.
do you think that next season starts off with the funeral of Jim?
Oh, I was wondering how they're gonna. Every time it starts where they left off, right? There's not
Yeah,
much of a change, right?
not
I
not.
want, yeah, I wonder if they're gonna go the same route with it. It's it worked so far, or if they're gonna do some kind of you know, little bit of twist on it.
Mm-hmm,
I keep thinking about that old, very old series. Was it Spartacus? Something.
mm-hmm.
There were a couple. And one of them, because of the actor passing away, they did, I think,
Yeah,
flashback.
that was
I
Spartacus.
I did like it. I did like it. I Again, there is an art to it, and that show. I mean, I think they did it right. I liked it. Now,
Mm-hmm,
if these um, um, creators go that way, again, there's a fine line of we would need to have different actors,
mm-hmm,
some of the different actors, because even like we know, even it's the same spirit or the same soul, is different people. I don't see them dropping these individuals and going completely way back, God knows when, unless they do the flip-flopping to introduce us to it. But I think it's a little bit early for that. That might be for season 5 or end of
mm-hmm.
season 4. I think they should kind of continue with what they're doing, especially since they ended on such a high, you know, I guess, finale.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How do you see that?
Yeah, I
Do you
think
see them
that
with the?
every season that we've seen so far has had a funeral scene.
Mm,
They've done a funeral scene in every season, so I don't see them stopping that
mm-hmm.
trend. I
Okay.
mean, when the Matthews first show up, there's a funeral going on, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
This season they start off again with Tien Chen funeral, right? They always do a funeral every
Who's
season.
in season 2? I'm trying to remember.
Season two, who died in season 2 that they did the funeral? Father Kadri?
Actually, yeah.
Did they do a funeral for Father Kadri?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Was there a funeral in
So
season
much
2?
death. So much death in there.
Was there a funeral? Let me think
Um.
if there was a funeral in season. Now I'm
um
questioning that. I don't know. I know
but there
Father
is.
Kadri died, but I don't know if they actually did the whole funeral for him.
Mhm. Acknowledgement of death and the loss and mourning. So maybe they're gonna, whichever route they're gonna go. I just can't remember if they did it for him,
For Autumn says that they
because
do the
he's
funeral
usually
for
there.
Eldridge Dive. Julie B. Deep Dive says there's no funeral for Kashi, which is weird. You would think they would do a funeral for Kashi, but they
Mm.
didn't do a funeral for the guy.
Can you imagine? He buried so many people, and he,
He
poor
doesn't get
guy,
one
finally he
himself.
didn't get one.
He doesn't get one
He does not
himself.
get his 6, whatever it's called, right? Who's gonna
Hmm.
care? Nobody carried him apparently.
I think his dad
Wow.
got his name.
Hmm.
So all right, so two seasons they have done funerals.
Yeah.
One now, I would think they would have to do something for this dude, because in the end,
Yeah.
you gotta have to understand it's like this. This is what people, I think maybe people have overlooked, but this is the way it's gonna play out.
Mm-hmm.
Jim's gonna be found dead. His neck's going to be found slit. They're going to assume that the monsters did it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to assume. No one knows nothing about this man in yellow, and the man in
Right.
yellow is not going to be there. No
Yep.
one sees Jim die. He's going
Mm-hmm.
to be out all night. They're going to say, "What happened to Jim?" You may start off with that whole situation of them discovering the body of Jim.
Yeah.
Like they all go home after this whole situation happened. Where's Jim? He hasn't come home at night. Then they go out looking for him, and then they find Jim because they're going to be preoccupied with the stuff that happened in Colony House.
Mm-hmm.
So it may slip their mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they find Jim, and then he's dead. And maybe then they'll notice, like, listen, the monster's killing a certain way. This is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Usually the whole chest is ripped open, right?
Yeah,
And here
yeah.
it's just that. It's not like somebody's gonna go, oh, let's fix him up a little bit.
So maybe that's what it is. And they won't know. We don't know when the man in white will actually reveal himself to other people. Julie, going back into that story, may be the one who tells them all, hey, there was this guy in yellow, that's who killed my father. And then that's when they first learn about this guy.
I wonder if she's limited by, like, first of all, of course, I'm curious on how she got there. You know, how did she jump over wherever she was? How limited is that area? At what point is she going back? Like, goes back to wherever she's at. Another thing I'm thinking with him laying there, Jim laying there, I keep trying to remember how late in the day it was, because again, we have two medical individuals, like medical professionals over there, and I'm sure that if he is laying there and decomposing, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, it does not look like it happened overnight. It's at least that many hours. Like, I wonder if they're gonna go that route, and they're gonna think, okay, that's kind of suspicious in some way, because technically, when he died, if he would have died in the past, I don't know, 6 hours, when they find him in the morning, he should have been looking like this, versus he's like more decomposing or whatever is happening, right, from the medical field. Like, no, this is longer. He was killed during the day. So I wonder if that will be one of the hints to be like, okay, something is, somebody is killing people here. Like, how many murderers do we have? We had Sarah with us. We had somebody else with us. Who else is murdering these people in broad daylight?
Yeah,
so
well,
there may be hints.
Yeah, Dragon. Thank you for becoming a member. I just seen that. Thank you so much. Dragon King says, well, Miranda already painted the man in yellow. Yes, but that doesn't mean Miranda seen the man in yellow. She painted a lot of things she didn't see. There's no proof that she's seen the Civil War soldiers or she's seen anything like that. She just painted what was coming to her, and that's why she painted it. That would make Tabitha know, hey, there is a man in yellow, but it would have to be confirmed by Julie that this guy in the yellow suit is the one who killed him, and then it could spark Tabitha's memory. Oh, I painted a man in yellow before, so that would do that. That's still just the fact she painted him would not know. They would not know that he is the one who actually killed Jim. They're not going to know what happened to Jim. No one witnessed that until she came back.
That investigation probably of some sort. Maybe that's how Danny, very pretty name, how Danny will be moved up somehow, because maybe she's using those skills of, what's going on here? He's been dead for that long. Let's see what happens. Let's get some order over here. I do have a question for you, Tony. I don't know if you addressed it in previous streams. When Victor... he still thinks that that was his fault, that he told that his mom died because he told her about all that stuff, right? But wasn't she already mentioning that before she and her family got to From? So technically she knew about saving the children. Isn't that what Henry said to Tabitha, that that's how he got her to not get arrested? But maybe just she didn't know how to get there. Maybe so technically she knew about it. She just needed that direction. Okay, where are these kids? How do I get to them? So do you think that is just something that they forgot to mention, or should it be self-explanatory based on just the logic of it?
It could be self-explanatory, but I don't think that you would know exactly what that was. When we heard Victor give his explanation, she didn't know, Miranda, that the way to get out of here, to free the children, was until Victor told her that she needed to go into the bottle tree to save the children. I don't know if she knew anything about saving the children until that time, that's the reason why they had to get out. We just know with Victor that she went to the bottle tree to save the children. Victor again, said that, oh, I'm going to save the children. After I save the children, we're all going to be able to go home. So
she didn't connect the dots. She knew about the children. She knew about the bottle tree. She was making it, but she didn't connect how they all tie in. She just had those visions of that, but not connecting the dots yet. Okay.
100%. Nick Nack Studios just became a member. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Familia. We appreciate you for doing that. We appreciate your theories. Again, the phone line is open. You can call in and speak to us live if you want. The phone line is open. And Queen Pasha says, do you think that all three of the chained in the ruins could be story walkers? I have speculated before that the people there could have certain different powers. They all may have something. It could be a situation like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dreamwalkers, where they were all able to have certain powers that they can help, so it could all be that, or they could all have be travel. But I think personally that they're all going to have 3 different sets of powers. They're all going to have something else.
That makes sense.
That's the way it's going to go. I think it will be like that. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why would you have 3 people have? I think we mentioned part of it last time or time before. Where why would you have 3 people having same thing? Just make one person be very powerful, and have just have one person versus. It's better like the idea of even coordinates. Like you need, the more points you get, the more I guess accurate it is. I don't know much about that stuff, but just imagining 3 different powers, strong powers, what do you call it, not position, but zoomed in on something, on a task, it can have a greater result versus just same thing being thrown. It's like attack it from different angles by having different powers. Makes more sense.
Glue Guns and Rose says, when I'm done shopping yams, I may call them. Let me tell you something about yams. Well, if you call them yams too, she's definitely from down south. When you say yams, you don't say sweet potatoes. You say yams. Candy yams. Oh, I can't stand them. My mother, obviously, she's from North Carolina, and my whole side of the family down there is from North Carolina. So obviously, we have we have had yams are a staple in Thanksgiving dinner. Candy yams and yams everywhere. I cannot stand yams. I always hated them when I was a child. I do not like. I remember my mom used to make me sit down at the table because she couldn't believe I didn't like them. And you can't get off this table until you eat them. And they had pictures of me sleeping at the table because I refused.
Oh no, Tony.
That's
not right.
No, I did not like yams.
How did they make them? I made like the I don't call them yams. I call them sweet potatoes. And people, I don't like them, but I make them for people who request them for Thanksgiving. So I don't know.
There's candy yams, different ways to make it. You can put marshmallows on the top and stuff. It all depends. Yeah. I say this goes to 618. What's going on?
Hey, it's your buddy Turd Ferguson here.
To accept, press 1.
What's going on, Turd Ferguson?
What's going on,
Can you turn
Tony?
down that sound in
Good
the
evening,
background?
Mr. Lamar.
Can you turn down your?
What's that?
I'm hearing a noise in the background.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my TV. Sorry, bro.
Good mic is picking up on a lot of sound in the background, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Now it is,
yeah. There we go.
Yeah. All right, yes. All right, let's go.
All right, yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize it was that loud. No, just a couple of things, my friend. You know how I keep telling you that Julie's writing a story?
Yep.
Funny how she's a story walker. And what's the easiest way to walk through a story if you're the one that's writing it? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so people who are listening here for the first time that don't know your theory, will you please explain it to them?
Okay, yeah, no problem. The whole thing is Julie writing a story, possibly even Ethan writing a story, but I'm pretty sure it's Julie. Just trying to put like a spin on like what actually happened to them throughout their like childhood lives, kind of make it a horror story, like, you know, kind of like Stephen King did. Because like I don't think that their little brother, Thomas, that he was actually just an accidental death. I think that one of the parents killed him and it caused a divide. And that this whole thing is just Julie retelling that story, but through like maybe a horror type premise later in life. And like I said, it's pretty easy to walk through the story and go through and change stuff if you're the one that's writing the story.
All right. Yeah. I think it's it's a very interesting theory, 100%. And
I mean,
I don't know if I'm happy with it. It's not my story to be happy with. So if it did happen with that, I would accept it. But I could see it. I could definitely see that this is a storybook from Julie, and we're watching the story play out, and she's literally just writing it. It's something that they did with Game of Thrones at the end, where they had Sam write A Song of Ice and Fire, called it A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the main series of Game of Thrones. And he documented everything. We actually seen it play out, but in the end, it was a storybook that Sam had written about the whole situation.
Right. And then my other thing, I called in too late. Actually, I tried calling in the past 2 weeks with you and Phil's show on Sunday nights, but not this past Sunday night, the Sunday night before. That person that was on talking about Elgin's shirt and the raven and the field of green and the yellow being smiley in that.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that or not. That was definitely another YouTuber trying to fuck with you.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Because I saw that exact same theory and video. It was either another YouTuber trying to mess with you, or it was somebody that just stole that person's ideas.
Well,
and it was trying to sound smart.
Yeah, well, it was. I'm going to address these YouTubers by the end of the stream tonight, and we're gonna get to by the end of the stream. I'm gonna talk about this shit and get this done with, because I can't really deal with it anymore. So there's no other way for me to deal with it but to actually talk about it. So I'll talk about that stuff at the end of this night, and we'll put these people at task.
Yeah, there's a couple I've seen that straight give you credit for the stuff that you've said, and I think that's pretty awesome. But there's some others like I've like that one night that called in on you, just kind of messing with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of haters. I mean, if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping, and that's fine. But we'll address them. I definitely will address them. But I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go so Elamar can respond to you, because she can't do it while you're on the phone.
All right, sounds good, my friend.
All right, brother.
Good call.
All right, have a good one.
All right, thank you.
When he said that, reminds me of Futurama episode where Fry was writing a story to make sure to save somebody, as he was writing and mistyping stuff, misspelling things, just to quickly write it. He was saving. I forgot what it was. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen writing yet. Just maybe living it.
And Never Ending Story was that too, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. I loved it.
So they did do that.
Yeah.
We'll take this call right now. This is Man Line. What does that
mean? Man Line. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I don't know what this means. We'll bite for it. What's going on?
Hey, Tony. This is Richard from Toronto. It says Man Line. That's a long story, man. My phone. Anyways. Yeah. So that last theory is pretty interesting about it all being a story. However, I don't think if it was a children's story, I don't think Julie would have got onto quantum physics and all that type of science, deep philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that would necessarily make sense. But it's something I wanted to bring up that I don't know if you guys touched upon it. I don't know if it sounds too trivial, but regarding the dream catchers in Fatima, like the Dark Angel, or what do you call it? The girl helped with the labor. What's her name?
The kimono lady.
Kimono lady. When she was going to put her hand over the mouth of Fatima, her shoulder made contact with the dream catcher. So the dream catcher was down there, during that scene where she's being held hostage, and that dream catcher, it was there at the wedding. It's always been like in her bedroom and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that this whole place is a dream realm, me personally, and they're all trapped inside of a dream realm, like they're all trapped in a Freddy Krueger Dream-esque fourth dimension type realm, and that's why they're called the nightmare creatures, and that's why we see everything that happens to them in there.
The dream catcher that only seems to be around Fatima, though, eh? right?
Yeah. I mean, if I took out every mention of this being a nightmare from season 1 to 3, I think there's over 95, 100, over 95 references of actors saying something about this being a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder how, with regards to Fatima specifically, because no one else has that Dreamcatcher thing. So I don't know if there's anything.
Well, I think
that
the Dreamcatcher they associated with Fatima because Donna gave it to her as a gift. Right? Donna gave her that as a gift. Now, if you want to say Donna has something to do with this too, that's why she gave it to her as a gift. I could definitely feel that, but I think it's associated with Fatima because Donna gave it.
About that. Hey, do you still think Victor's evil?
Yes.
Still think that?
Yes. Victor's the boy in white.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Maybe he forgot his evil, right?
Yeah. Let's take this one. We'll pause him for a second so we can hear it well.
All from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
I don't know who this person is. They didn't identify themselves. I don't know. You're going to have to identify yourself. I can hear them listening to stuff in the background, but you got to identify yourself before I know what's going on. Luna Cascade, thank you for Super Chat. So we know that Tabitha and Jade are reincarnations of the original parents, but are the others in town who may also be reincarnations from previous occupants? What do you think? Do you think other people are reincarnated, or is it just them two?
Well, you know what? That's a good point, because who would be others? Like, what would be their point?
Like Sarah, or
no, like who from back then? I'm trying to think. Like, that's a great, because they are the parents, the two parents, right? I'm assuming the other parents are the monsters, right? So they're coming back, and I don't know who would the others be? Maybe the people from the town that just died and they have to come back, who did not participate. But again, Tabitha and Jay didn't participate, and they're here. So that's a great question. I don't know. Either will be the town people who did not get immortality. Well, technically they did because they're here. They did not sign up for it. But at this point, nobody has benefits from it. The people who have to come back and be killed over and over. Then the people who are monsters, who are just, maybe having fun. And then Tabitha. So there will be technically 3 types at least. The monsters, Tabitha and Jade, and the other town people. But if they're the other town people being pulled in there, town people isn't from back then, if that they're not the town people, then what's the point of them? As an assistant? Like, to assist Tabitha and Jade to get their point across? So maybe is it Jade and Tabitha pulling them in too? To have help? That would be cruel.
Yeah, I would only think that, that all the monsters out there are the original town folks that sacrifice the kids. Right? So
small town though. 13 of them or whatever.
It is.
From.
What's up, Tony? It's Nigel from Alabama.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
What's going on? You're rocking the Don Tony Teflon, Lady and Lamar.
Hey, yo, Tony and Lamar, how y'all doing tonight?
We good. What's going on, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Hey, it's Nigel from Alabama, man. I'm not going to keep y'all long. I just want to talk about my boy Jim.
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't like how they did him, man. I feel like they threw him to the side too easily. And, and now another guy is going to come in and take his woman. It's just, I understand. We all saw that they were going to kill Jim. We pretty much knew that. It's just, he was thrown to the side like he was literally a nobody. And didn't we start the show with the Matthews family?
Yes, you're correct.
So my opinion, my feeling and my theory is Jim is going to come back in a big way. I don't know how, but I do think Jim will come back and be a very pivotal character, good or bad. What y'all think?
Yeah, I think that he'll definitely come back. I think Julie will find a way to bring him back, reset this whole thing. And I think that this whole thing in town never happens to them. Like no one sees a tree. None of this ever happens. No one ever gets stuck in this town. The kids are never sacrificed. So this whole thing never takes place. I think it'll be a situation like that.
Okay, I got you. Lamar, what you think?
In order for her to answer and you hear it, I'm gonna have to hang up with you.
Yes, sir. I got you. Hey, look, man, I just wanted to call. Y'all happy Thanksgiving, man. Be safe out there. And everybody, stay safe.
All right.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Great point.
Tony, what do you think? You think Jim's coming back?
I see him as coming back. He will be back, and I would love to see him die again. And Tony, great point that you made. I'm sorry, did you pick up?
No, keep going.
Okay, so the way you painted that picture for me, I can just imagine it. The ending of this entire season, we have the Matthews family driving around the damn tree, and then we see, or maybe not even that. I wouldn't even need to see other people driving around the tree. The moment I see the Matthews family driving around, oh, there's no tree, or like, oh my gosh, and then there's no tree, there's something else. That would be an interesting ending, but I wonder if Julie would be the one who knows the entire story and she just can't say anything.
It'll be the same scene. They just keep driving and that's it.
Oh my God. That would be fun.
Paul.
To accept, press 1.
What's going on? You rock with the Don, Tony Teflon, Lady Lamar. Who this?
What's up, man? It's Paul.
What's going on, Paul?
Hi, yeah, I just want to say that, man, what you're doing is great. First of all, man, I love what you do, man. Okay. I just want to say, like, I think what was your theory again on why Fatima was chosen to carry the baby?
My theory on why she was chosen to carry the baby?
Yeah,
I never made a theory on her. Show why she was chosen.
Okay. Well, I think she might have been chosen because to get back at Boyd, because remember Boyd killed the Smiley monster.
Yep.
And so the town, this evil or whatever, chose her to get back at Boyd because they all know how important family is to Boyd. He lost his wife before, and and so they want to get back at him to essentially mess with him, because if Fatima had never gotten pregnant, then she would have never killed Tilly. Then Boyd would have never had to take her into the woods and hide her in the shed. And then, she would have never been kidnapped by Elgin, right? And then, and Boyd would have never had to torture Elgin a little bit like he did. So I think it was all to mess with him because.
Yeah, I can definitely see your point, and it does make 100% sense. That I think they also foreshadowed it early when they had Ellis and Fatima in the paintings looking like Adam and Eve in the garden. I think that and the fact that she is impossible to get. She said it's impossible for her to get pregnant. It would the fact that that's why they did it. I mean, there's really no one else in the show, I mean, that I can think of that would make sense that they did, because everyone else can get pregnant, right? So to do it to someone who isn't pregnant, who can't get pregnant, makes it like, well, why is this woman able to get pregnant when she can't get pregnant? If Sarah gotten pregnant, Sarah probably can get pregnant. You know what I mean? Julie, but Christy, it probably wouldn't have had the same effect. But the fact that they made her the one who can't get pregnant, I think that's why they put it on her.
Yeah. And also, it's like what Sarah said too. I think she said, this town, it takes from you, it doesn't give. So it kind of Boyd torturing Elgin kind of took his humanity a little bit too. So
yeah, it definitely took his humanity, and also is going to take the town from him. He's going to lose control of the town.
Oh yeah.
And once that happens, it makes the town more vulnerable and susceptible for them to actually take it over.
Yeah, and also I want to say, I think they're when Victor took his dad to show to Hill to to show where he buried his mom and supposedly his sister. I think, you know, when Victor said, you know, he said what he said, like something like he thinks the pieces of the body were his sister, right? Mm-hmm. I think him saying something like that just, and maybe the writers are trying to hint that, you know, it wasn't actually her that he found. So I think she still might be out there somewhere. And I think she might be a story walker. Who knows? She might be going back. And because how did Victor survive for, like, I think he was by himself for like what, 3 decades?
Yeah.
At least. Or
yeah, I've said.
So how did he survive for so long?
Yeah, I've said it a million times that I don't see how any child could have survived out there that long by himself. Eloise is what, a little bit younger or older than him, so
yeah,
I don't know how, unless she is some type of story walker and she helped him out here and there and everything else. But it's going to be interesting them bringing in Eloise next season.
Yeah, and I think they should like show like at the beginning of the next season, like the very first episode, do like a flashback to, like, you know, when this stuff first happened, like the monster came in and tricked the people. Maybe just show us that a little bit. I think that'd be pretty cool too.
It would be cool, but I don't think we'll get that. I think you will just have to wait until Julie goes back to that time and actually witnesses the whole thing.
Yeah. And also, like, I saw this theory on another video, but like, it said that like Martin and the man in yellow could be like the same person, and they like showed like the fingers were kind of like similar, like kind of like blackened. They're like Martin's fingers were like a bit blackened, and the man in yellows, and so I don't know, that could be some kind of connection there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the connection. I don't think they're the same person. Obviously, they have 2 different actors playing that part, so why not just bring
or
back,
be like a shapeshifter or something like that.
Well, why not bring back one actor? I mean, we can throw stuff around and make it make sense how it is, right? We could say there's shapeshifters. We could say these things. But in the end, Martin said that they are coming back. You have to get out of here. So, and he's talking, most likely he's talking about the man in yellow and his accomplices are coming. You have to get out of here because those guys are coming. So I don't think that Martin is in, me personally.
But do you think that this goes back, like story-wise, or do you think this goes back to like the 1950s or longer?
I don't know. It goes back to whenever those people in those dress and the monsters sacrifice their kids is how far it goes back.
But then how would that explain like the talismans and like the cave paintings, or because that looks really ancient? So
I mean, just because it looks ancient doesn't mean it's ancient. It just could have been scroll. I mean, ancient texts, they say it looks ancient because it looks simple, right? So just because they scrolled it simply doesn't mean that it's ancient text.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for calling. We got another call. We're gonna take this.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. Call back.
All right, man. Thank you.
Very interesting call, LMR. What do we think about that?
Yeah, great, interesting points. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree mostly with everything. I was actually nodding for majority of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he made some good stuff. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on there and everything else. That we're saying that could be coming. I don't think that this is Stonehenge. This is 916.
From the voice at 916.
Oh, we're in for a treat.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
You know who it is. Let's go. Hello, you are rocking with the Don, Tony Teflon, the Lady LMR, and this is the voice of 916.
Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Hello, LMR. I know you can't respond, but hello.
Hey.
You know that Fromville repeats itself. It's a pattern that repeats itself over a long period of time, and possibly as far back as 1506. Now, if this is the case, then what we're seeing right now is just the latest iteration, the latest group to come in and fulfill or feed the monsters the hope that they live on and they thrive on. Now, if the town has existed since 1506, I wonder, is this the first time that there's been a Boyd, a character like Boyd, who has gone out and found ways for that particular group to survive? And I also wonder if this isn't the first time that one of the nightmare creatures has been killed, and that there hasn't been a woman selected to bear the whatever thing she bared to replace the monster that died.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then perhaps people who are being brought into the town are fulfilling certain archetypes over and over and over again. I'd like to know what you think about that theory. And LMR, I'd like to know what you think as well.
All right. Me personally, LMR will have to, obviously we have to get you off the phone in the end for her to answer. She will. But I will say that I do think, I don't know if they're bringing the same people back to fulfill the archetypes like there was a Boyd before. Because from what we've seen, until Boyd got there, these people were basically they couldn't do anything without him there. They were sleeping in holes, and they didn't go out there, and they couldn't find the talismans. They didn't even have any livestock there. They were so afraid to go into the woods at night that they wouldn't even go in there to check during the daytime. Boyd went out there in the daytime and found the livestock. So I don't know if there's ever been an actual Boyd. I think Boyd was the first of his kind that actually organized the people that was there. Could there have been other people who have done certain things like, I would say, let's figure out a way to dig these holes and keep them so we can't get full. I do believe there were leaders like that, but I don't know if there was actual leaders on the level that we have seen Boyd take control of this place.
I see, but I got a sense that perhaps Martin had been that type of character, but he got tripped up, and they ended up, chaining him into that dungeon until Boyd found him, and they exchanged the worms, which was like, my blood is your blood now. In other words, I did what I could do. Now it's your turn. That's kind of the sense that I got of Martin, and that there had been an archetype like Boyd. As far as the talisman situation is concerned, the only way we know about that is we're just seeing the latest group. Perhaps when Julie does her story walking, and if she's able to go back far enough, we'll see previous groups, how they survived. And if there were others like Fatima, Sarah, Elgin, Kenny, et cetera, et cetera. So we're really working right now with limited information. So we're assuming that Boyd is the first one to go as far as he did, but we don't really know that yet.
Yeah, 100%. There had to be someone who went farther, because we have the map of the lighthouse. We have the map in the basements of the other village with the stuff there. So someone definitely seen those things to put them down on the map, but we just don't know what happened to them before they got it down there.
Right. I think that's something to consider, that there had been other groups there before, and until we don't know how far that they have gone, but it'll be interesting to get clues on that. Maybe in season 4 and maybe 5 will tell us the complete story. But I'm going to get off the phone because I really want to know LMR's thoughts on this as well. And you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'm going to go back to cooking and listening to all the familiar opinions and theories about what's coming up next. And as always, Tony, I know you're going to stay sexy. LMR, you be sexy as well. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, that is a blessing to hear from us.
Always
LMR,
a pleasure to hear.
What do you think? Do you think these are archetypes that keep coming back?
That is, I could just imagine when, the entire story and the way it was painted. Yeah, I can see Tabitha and Jade, like, seeing how far the next group can go and leaving those artifacts.
Well, let me just before you, let me just pick up with this person and tell them, hold on a second.
Megan.
All right.
To accept, press 1.
1 second, Meg. Can you just hold on for 1 second?
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Finish, Elmore.
Yeah. So I can just see how I wonder how far back it goes, but every time it seems to be, like you said, there's a map. So somebody got further. out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had that map, they had those, everything was set up, but they apparently are able to, leave those artifacts. I wish they just could write, instructions more than a map. Maybe Victor used all the crayons, or maybe there are no crayons out there. But this would be so cool to see somewhere. I can see how this story can progress out, and or keeping the same actors, see how back, to not lose any these actors, but for us to see how it was back then, how it got to this point. We would still be able to see this chunk of time without going too far out in the future. Still, probably we have the future thing, because as we see, Julie is out there from the future. So that would be a great idea. Yeah, I can see how there are different people that we see right now were represented back then, and potentially maybe even represented if we get another chunk or a group of people, new cohort of people for future. That would be cool to see.
100%. All right, Meg, what's going on, girl?
All right. So let me turn my TV down. I want to just kind of clear the air, because I feel like there's a lot of confusion, and I thought it was obvious, but it's not obvious. So I may be wrong. So I believe that the monsters are the original townspeople that sacrificed the children. But that does not mean the monsters were the parents of the original townspeople. Some of the original townspeople that participated in a little bit of child slaughter were probably some parents. There's some shithole parents out there, right? But I do believe the other ones weren't. Like, we see Grandma Monster. We know she didn't have kids. She's too old to have kids. So I think the people that didn't have a child to sacrifice either tricked the townspeople, stole the children, and sacrificed them that way. I just wanted to clear the air, because I read a lot of discourse, and I guess do hear theories on YouTube about the original parents, but nowhere in this series did it specifically say the parents sacrificed him. It's assumed that I'm sure some parents did, but we already know that Jade and Tabitha way back then tried to stop it. I also think this goes back hundreds of years, and the reason the monsters have different clothing is because, it showed us they like to snatch up clothes, and they probably change. We've seen Miley play bus driver. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I do.
That's what I think.
I will say that you have two stories. You have the Victor story, from him saying that it was the people who they cared about the most that did the sacrifice, and so therefore they cared if they were living with their grandparent, or they had an older brother that was taking care of them, or anything like that. Could be someone that they cared about the most. And then you have Fatima saying it was the parents who sacrificed them, right? So you have two stories saying the same thing, but a little bit conflicting. I do agree that the people that we see, the monsters, are the original, the parents and the family members who definitely sacrificed, and probably people who were in the town who didn't have kids, because we know that Jade's and Tabitha's kid was sacrificed, but probably not by them. That say they grabbed that child up and it got sacrificed, right? And they tried to save him. So there are people in town probably trying to grab all the children that they could to be a part of this situation.
Mm-hmm. See, I think it's kind of like BYOB, or bring your own kid, not beer, bring your own kid.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm wondering, and I'm reading the chat too, and Forever Autumn or something just said something really interesting that could also be true, is that maybe it didn't matter who sacrificed the kids. Maybe there were a few pairs of shithole parents, but whoever sacrificed the kids, it just affected the whole town. But then again, why would Jade and Tabitha be the exception? Because they tried to stop it. I don't know, but that's where I think it's going to go, is they were tricked. The kids were snatched up, like Hansel and Gretel style, like lured away from the house. But yeah, that's where I think that the storyline is going. And I also want to respond to about what LMR was just saying, because I agree about like the story beats. I'm also like, I think that the town does kind of have like the same people come in every once in a while, but not reincarnated. So I didn't understand if she was saying that she thought they were reincarnated, but I don't think anyone besides Jade and Tabitha are reincarnated. I just think, like, if you're watching a mystery story, you always have that detective, the skeptical detective. You have the person who seems nice, but they're really not. Like, same story beats that are brought into the town, and it may not always play out the same. You know, it may not always be that the Sarah and Elgin type decide to give in and murder. But yeah, so that, anyways, that's what I think. I know that she can't respond until I get off, so I'm gonna let you go.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
And keep chopping up them yams.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I still have to make that. I still have to make sweet potatoes. I don't say yams.
Yeah, candy yams and all that good stuff. It's a staple down south for Thanksgiving. And in I would say black household is a staple. Black cuisine down south cuisine is black cuisine. It is really the only true American cuisine is soul food, which is down south cuisine made by black.
I'm getting hungry now.
You know, that is the only true American cuisine that's from this country, is that 100%. All right, so what do you think about what you're saying? Do you think that the townspeople are those people?
I think they are being pulled in for their purpose, and it will be sad to know that it's Tabitha and Jade pulling them in.
Yep. I'll take a call in a second. I'll take them in a second. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, again, I have not thought about that at all before this conversation, and the thought that they maybe other entities there are pulling so-called players. It's like a game you can't win kind of thing. Can you just imagine pulling families with children and having all these people being pulled in so that Jade's and Tabitha's kid can be saved in the past, or the souls can be released, or something like that? That's a cruel game, and a lot of lives are going to save those 7 or whatever number of children. But you know, parents love the things we do for love, right? And even in the afterlife. However, they're cursed.
Yeah, I with glue guns and roses saying my cuisine is butter. I'm using 24 sticks of butter in total tomorrow. I use butter. I have the butter injector that I use in turkey. I inject the turkey full of butter. I add some extra seasoning in the butter, and I inject the turkey with butter. That is my turkey technique. But I love to inject it with the butter. It makes it much better,
flavorful and crispy.
There's a whole kit you could buy that people have it and stuff like that. Right now, someone comes out, you could buy there's a kit of it now out there and everything else. All right, we'll take more calls in the same next person. I know someone's calling in, and so we'll say I'm just trying to get Lamar's thoughts and everything else.
I appreciate it. I love chatting and great calls, great ideas being shared with us. Yeah.
So you're Polish. What do we do? Do we have Polish cuisine for your Thanksgiving being made?
No, the only thing that I just kind of, I'm sure people make it, the dish that I like making is potato bake, with baked potatoes with baby potatoes with bacon, fried onions and chopped up nicely, and fried mushrooms and bunch of cheese on it. So it's a very, very heavy dish, but so that's the thing that I make. And I do make those sweet potatoes. I don't eat them. I have a bite. My family eats it. I don't know why they eat it, but they ask for it, so I bring it. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, let's say I do believe it is KP.
I got the magnanimous.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
What's going on? You're rocking with the Don Tony. This is dude. You see this dude? He hangs up.
Teasing us. It's like right there, but not here yet.
No, he hangs up. Now I have to go back and do it again and everything else. But that I would think that y'all do a little bit more Polish.
No, not for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving we go. My dad is actually, I'm at their house right now, helping my mom this year much more. So my dad is actually doing something with the turkey. My mom is prepping for the stuffing. She makes the best stuffing, and I made my dishes already. I made my pie. I made tiramisu, which is it's not for Thanksgiving. I made a cheesecake. I made a salad, potato salad, and then we have a lot of food here.
Nice. Let's go. All right. KP, it's your last shot, bro.
From
Egg on the magnanimous.
KP, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. Good evening to everybody. Good evening, LMR. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad that you'll be catering the next From event that we have with all this fancy Polish food. Listen, I enjoyed the end of season 3. I enjoyed it. But I have questions. Okay, so the man in yellow, if nobody knows that is how, like, are we sure that Jim really died? Like, because he left the thing where he was with Tabitha and Jade, and, like, he walked away, and then this weird thing happened. So are we sure he actually died?
Yes, we are sure that he died because we see Julie travel back in time to try to save him from dying. So we know that he's dead, and everyone knows he's dead. That's why she actually went there to do it.
Right. So that goes back now to the other question. So, like when you were saying earlier, as to what are the rules of this time travel? Can we actually change the past, or are we just like looking in? Is it a situation where you can change something, but it doesn't necessarily change the past? It just creates a different version of the past. There's a lot of questions around that I think I hope they'll be able to answer in a way that makes sense to everybody. I think it's very interesting. First of all, I have to kind of throw some shit in this idea that Jade and Tabitha are now going to just instantly fall in love. I don't. If they actually do end up doing that, I think that would be kind of lame. On top of that, we hear that Tabitha used to be Miranda in some kind of weird way, and Jade used to be Christopher. However, know for a fact that Tabitha and Christopher do not have children. Miranda and Christopher don't have children. Miranda has children with Henry and Victor, the other girl. But so my question is, will we find out who the first Miranda and Christopher were? Because obviously Miranda and Christopher are not the first people to play their roles. Is that your takeaway from it as well, Tony? That they were the first ones? Yes or no? Is that your takeaway?
I think that Miranda and Christopher, not those two people, but the people who actually did the sacrifice, which it wasn't those two, they were just reincarnated as those two, didn't play their role. They didn't go along with the sacrifice.
Right. So I mean to say these are not the Miranda and Christopher are not the first quote unquote Miranda and Christopher.
No, the first people were the people who were with the town. Then they transformed, eventually got to Miranda and Christopher, and now ended up as Jade and Tabitha.
And the folks that actually did do the sacrificing, do you think they had was it like a Renfield type situation? You know, Renfield in Dracula, is Dracula's manservant, and he kind of goes around as a go for just doing weird things for Dracula, with the hope that one day Dracula will turn him into a vampire, which never happened, it seems. Do we think that these folks were operating kind of like a Renfield group, where they were trying to suck up to some sort of evil entity, and he said, yeah, bro, like, if you do the XYZ, I'm going to make you guys totally immortal. But without you guys knowing, I'm also going to add these caveats contract where one, you can't walk, like you have to live perpetually in this little weird place. Two, you can't eat food. You're basically a vampire. Can't go outside.
I don't think he told them
Do you
that.
think they knew that?
I don't know. Of course, they didn't know that. I think that they just thought they would live immortal. It was a jinn. It was a jinn who gave them the wish. They wished to be immortal. This is what they had to do to fulfill the wish. And yes, you got your wish. You are immortal, but you have to live in this state. And the other two who didn't participate, you're immortal also, but you're going to have to keep transforming and transforming and transforming and keep coming back, and that's your immortality.
And part of that contract also included the idea of this town that you guys live in now is going to now be like your prison. And every once in a while, I'll bring somebody in for y'all to play with, but like this is your prison here. Do you think that is kind of what happened as well?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so then, given that we have now a much longer story than Miranda and Christopher, it goes even further into the past than that. This gentleman in yellow, as well as like him killing Jim, like what do you think that means? What do you think the gentleman in yellow is? Other, like people say he's not the big bad, but like an underboss to the big bad or something like that. But what do you think he meant, like when he said there's consequences to knowledge or something like that, and he kills Jim? He accomplishes by killing Jim? Is it just completing the circle, or does by killing Jim does he actually take away some significant power that the group has that they don't even know they have yet because of who Jim is? Does any of that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, well, I think that they were messing with Jim from the beginning. He was on the radio with him, told him his wife shouldn't be digging that hole. His wife still dug the hole. Jim wasn't able to stop her from doing that, and now his wife was able to crack the code with the violin, and so that's 2 strikes. I guess they don't get a third, and Jim has got to be out. Jim could have stopped him from doing it. When you look at the character of Jim, you've seen that he was preventing Tabitha from doing these things before, but his negative ways. But once Jim got on board, then that's when she was able to do this. So Jim didn't get her to stop. So Jim paid the price.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So it's like, so part of Jim's job was kind of like to tell Tabitha, you're wrong. Like, just sit down and be quiet. Why don't you just follow the rules and everybody be fine? Like, what's wrong with you, bitch? That was kind of Jim's role. And Henry mainly, I think, with his slow speech, but Jay as well, kind of pulled that role out of him, and as he came back to be himself and behaved in a way that he's accustomed to, that enabled Tabitha to kind of feel free to go out and explore, and then that all snowball big event that is them discovering things that the town didn't want them to discover, and as a punishment, Jim has to die. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. So the last thing I would say is, so for season 4, I imagine that later on we'll probably do some predictions, but my 2 little questions about season 4 would be, what do we think the biggest impact of Jim being dead? What do we think the biggest impact of that will be in season 4 specifically, but in the future in general? And how do we think the man in yellow kind of plays a role next season? What interesting things do we think he's going to add to the jambalaya that is From World? And my last thing is, Tony, I don't know who it is be having these problems with you. I haven't seen the videos, I haven't seen the comments, but just send me a text and I'll be on my way with the street sweeper, because I ain't really like that. I ain't like. I haven't seen it. I don't know who's doing it. So I would love for you to address it, because I legitimately don't know, and I would like to know so I could provide some backup. You know me. You know me.
I appreciate it. I won't need backup for these people. It really ain't about that life that I'm about, and that's just obvious. But but I appreciate it. I appreciate it that you have my back.
Fantastic. All right. So LMR, I know I can't hear you, but you make the show very entertaining, and I especially like having things from an emotional female point of view sometimes, because it brings up things that I don't see. So everybody have a great evening, and I'll just listen to you guys on the TV. Cheers.
All right, thank you.
Always nice to hear from KP.
Right,
I do agree with that.
I'm going to shut the phone line down for 1 second.
I do agree with what you're saying about the jinn. Nobody would agree to stuff like that if nobody wants to technically even read the fine print. They just want to be promised all kinds of good stuff. And nobody who's trying to sell something that's unsellable is gonna tell you, oh, and by the way, you're gonna have like 10 legs.
Yeah.
You're going
come here, but we're gonna make you vampires. They're not gonna tell them.
Right. So this is what tricking people. It's like that, like the jinn. Like they will make your wish. Sure. Yeah.
It's funny that I just seen like a video with DL Hughley, and he was saying, like, if you ever looked at pictures of black people, like a lot of black people, and you look at them, that you could see that none of them really smile in the pictures, and that it's like in our nature, because where we come from, you're not supposed to smile because you have to present a certain image and everything else like that, but you have to learn how to smile and learn how to be presentable and to people and stuff, and not just presentable, but also welcoming to people and stuff. And that's the problem that a lot of black people say. Since people have brought up this thing, LMR, I'm going to let me address this real quick. I'm gonna pull LMR. It's only going to take about, if you have something to do, it's going to take about 10 minutes for me to address the situation. And I'll pull you right back on the stream right after. All right. So since this is me dealing with these people, I'm going to just put myself on the stream for a second, so you understand that this is me. All right, and nobody else. And so let me explain things to you, because maybe people don't know me, and I know that when you hear people on YouTube and you see them on YouTube, you know the image that they want you to know. Right? You don't really know these people. You know exactly. You see what they put out there for you for about maybe the hour or two that they're out there, that you don't know that person though, right? No one really knows it. So let me explain to you a little bit about myself, so that you actually know who the fuck I am. So you understand that what I'm telling you, I'm serious about when I tell you this. All right. When I was like 26 years old, my father passed away at 25 years old. When I was 25, when I was 26, I found out that my father, who raised me, was not my father. All right. I found out that the person who is Danielle Spencer, the actress's father, that we share the same father. And this was revealed to me. This man had raised me my whole life. People in my family still don't know this. My grandmother, his sisters, and everything else, they still don't know that. Right? Only a couple of people in my family actually know that. He raised me. He signed my birth certificate and everything else. And I was told the story about my mother and everything else, how they had broken up for a little while and stuff like that. And she got with my actual father while she was babysitting Danielle Spencer, and one thing led to another. And then she got back together with my father, and he accepted me as his child. All right. And signed my birth certificate. I was raised, never felt any difference in my whole life, that anything was different than my brothers and my sisters and everything. Right. And I look at it like this man who had every opportunity to say, this ain't my child, fuck this child, throw it in my face all these years at any point. He never did. He always made me believe, until I found out otherwise, that I was his child. This man gave me his last name. when he did not have to do that. And that means something to me. That means something big to me. All right. That means that this man respected me enough, loved me enough, that I didn't have his blood in his body, but he seen what was in me, that he gave me his last name. And I rock that man's last name. That's why on my book it says Tony Bowers and not no pen name. And I put that my real name out there so people know, so I could respect him and respect what he did for me. My children have my last name. All right. So when I go out there and I put myself out there, I represent my kids. I represent my father. All right. I represent the people in my family. And my name means something to me. Now, maybe some of y'all never had an experience like that, so your name doesn't mean like it does to me. But that name of mine, and when I put it out there and I put myself out here, it means something to me. And if it doesn't mean the same to you, that's something else. On my mother's side of the family, all right, my cousin Terrence Walsh, made this book of our family, the Black Hawkins family. In this book, as you can see it documents all of my ancestors from my mother's side of the family, from the first one we could find that came over as a slave, all the way to me, my children, and all my cousins. And when I look through this book, and it has all the documents of it, and I look, and I have it marked right here, so I can just say this real quick. When I look at my great grandmother Aggie, and she was sold for $220 in a lot that also included 2 hogs, 1 chicken, and 2 chairs to get the price up of the lot. When I look at my ancestors that have been sold, and I have them all, every record of every one of them. When I have her sister Lucy from 1779, who was valued at $300. When I have her brother Ritter, who was valued at $225. When I have all them in here, and I have read this book 1,000 times, and I know it backwards and forth. When I have my grandmother, my great-grandmother's father, Charles, who was the first person in my family that was born not a slave when he was a child, that was actually free. And when people think slavery happened so long ago, understand that was my great-grandmother's father, who was the first one in my family that was born that wasn't a slave. And he puts in this book, we have the story from him that says that his mother was the cook of the house. And when she was a cook in the house, they were only allowed to get biscuits once a week. But she was making biscuits, and he came in there as a kid, and she wanted to give him one. And when she went to give him one, the master was coming. So she took that hot biscuit and put it in her bosom and burnt herself so bad that it stuck to her skin when she pulled it off. And then she took that skin off of that biscuit and chopped the skin off of that biscuit and gave him the other half, right? When I roll with my name and I put myself out there, from my side, from my mother's side to my family who went through all that shit to put me where I am today, I am extremely blessed and proud of their strength and their dignity that they did that stuff. So when you have these YouTubers out here, and understand what you are when you're a YouTuber, when you become a YouTuber, you become an influencer, right? Which means you have influence over people. I expect trolls and comments and everything else. That's their job. But when you're a YouTuber and you step over that line and you become an influencer, and the shit you say or the laughs you make or the reactions you give on your show influences other people to question my fucking character, then we're going to have a fucking problem here. You understand? Because I don't give a goddamn about getting a theory right. I don't give a goddamn about getting a prediction right. What I do give a goddamn about is representing my family and holding on to their name with pride. So maybe you would be someone who would do that. So you want to project what you have onto somebody else, but you don't know me. So I hope now that people can understand who the fuck I am and understand that I would never, and if I tell you that I made some shit up, I made it up. And that's my word on my family, on my children, on my ancestors. That's what I give a fuck about. I don't give a goddamn about being right. I've been wrong more than I've been right. I've held on to this alien theory and it probably ain't right, but I'm fucking holding on to it because I said it, because I stand by what I say. So you don't have to like me personally. You could say you a dick, he's this, that, and everything else. That's fine. I don't care if you like me. You don't have to. But don't question. Don't question my integrity. And don't question that I come out here and understand that I come out here every day representing my family and their name. And I would never jeopardize that for a fucking review or any type of fucking thing that maybe you would. I ain't you. Understand that I'm not playing with anybody when they play with my name. Don't do it. And that's the last time I'm really going to say it. And that's it. Next time I say this, it ain't going to be between no computer screen. So just understand what I'm telling you. I don't care how you get down or what you would do, but don't ever bring me up and think that I would do something that you would do. And you come out here with no proof, and you can think all you want, but when you're an influencer and you put that shit out there, understand that you're going to have to stand by those words eventually, right? So think before you put shit out there. People will tell you that shit all the time. Really think. You can think what you want. But when you put that shit out there and you question my integrity, that means you just got to have problems. All right? That is that. That is what it is. I'm not going to address it again. If it comes up again, I'm going to address it between me and that person, and we're going to handle that. So now that y'all people know me a little bit better, maybe you understand where I'm coming from. All right? That is that. Let me bring LMR back on this whole thing and get back to talking about what we're talking about. All right, because that's what I really want to talk about here and everything else. All right, so LMR,
yes,
we're back, and I'm sorry that I had to do that, but I can't allow these things to go down and stuff like that.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
All right, so season 3, we have seen. I will put the number back up to call the call in and everything up in 1 second. We'll take more phone calls and everything else like that and all that good stuff. So season 4, we have seen season 3. What do you think that we are going to see in season 4 that would be the big thing? Like, there's got to be a big thing that happens in season 4, right? It's got to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And everything else like that, right? There's got to be a big thing. What do you think? I mean, we got to deal with the cabin
You're
situation.
You're gonna be shocked,
right?
With the death cabin, right? The village.
We have the village over there. I think that has to be dealt with. But truly, like, we had the main focus of this season. I would say Tabitha returned. That wasn't the main focus. The main focus, we say, is the baby, Fatima's baby, right? That was the main focus of this whole situation. What do you think of the main focus would be of this next season? Will they extend this whole thing with Boyd and Elgin and everything happen there? Will that be the focus, or will it be something else dealing with maybe the man in yellow?
I am still waiting on that whole town potentially surviving the massacre. I wonder if we are literally these people that we see right now, if these are going to be the people who actually escape. And because apparently the previous ones didn't. But in order to escape, in order for change to happen, something uncomfortable needs to happen. Nobody wants to change if they're nice and cozy. There's, no bills to pay, abundant food. No, you don't need to go. You just live and have your best life there. Nobody wants to change. Things had to be shaken up for things to start changing, for things to start moving. So what I see for next season, what I would like to see, so we don't slow down with anything, is actually people being or having to deal with what happened. This cohort of people having to deal with what happened. And potentially later on in the other seasons, next seasons after that, to actually be that group that potentially survives because we get attached to them. I don't want some other future group to succeed. I don't want to see that because I will not know them. It's going to be people that I'm not rooting for because they haven't been developed. These people are being developed. I want these people to actually make it and for us to witness it, eventually. Not in season 4. I want more of that. What do you think? What are you looking forward to in season 4?
I don't know how long they can hold out the Elgin thing. I think that may be that being the main storyline. I think it's a through thread through the season that they have to deal with the consequences of that, because that's going to make Kenny sheriff, Acosta the deputy, put Boyd probably into the situation in the village where he has to leave or someone has to leave. I think that when it comes down to it, I think they may send people back to that village, that settlement that they called it, and then those people don't come back, and then they go out there to investigate what happened to them. And then after that, after they go out there and see what happened to them, they find they're all dead out there. And then that's when they start saying, because you brought up the creature, something outside that definitely wasn't the monsters that was outside there. So I think they have to
explain that. They cannot just drop it.
I'm sorry. I know that. Nigel Hurst, thank you for the super chat. It says, Tony, you're the #1 from YouTube. It's so good. We know. We know you. We love you, bro. Hit that blunt and enjoy it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I believe I am #1 guy and everything else and all that good stuff and everything. And that's what it is and stuff. But I do appreciate it. Everyone has the right to like who they want, and I appreciate it if you think I'm your #1 guy. I'm sure there's other people who believe that other people think are #1, and I'm sure that they are to them in their head. And I think everyone has the right to say what they want on the show and everything else. But I will say that, as people, if someone in the chat said that, that they were called stupid for making up a theory when they went on Facebook. Understand, there are always toxic people in fandoms. And it's just something you're never going to get away from, no matter how you try to escape it. When I was doing the Game of Thrones stuff, I've heard more racist comments for everything because I was making theories that all turned out to be true, most of them. And I was putting them out 4 years before they showed them on the episodes. And people would say racist stuff. When I interviewed Steve Toussaint, who was in the House of the Dragon, and how I met him and how I'm still friends with him today, is because, when he got casted as Corlys Valerian, he says it. If you look at the interview, he said that someone said, Steve Toussaint's a great actor. And then the person put underneath it, well, Steve Toussaint's a nigga. He shouldn't be playing this role. They're ruining our white stories. And I seen that. And I seen that on Twitter. And I jumped in. And I was like, Steve, don't say nothing. I'll take care of this for you. You are too dignified to come down to here. So let me handle this man for you. And I got in there. And that's how me and that dude got cool. Right? People used to leave comments on my question all the time. I didn't know niggas could read. People would put up there like, oh, do you peel bananas with your feet while you're reading your book? Stupid things like that. They constantly over the years. I've had people, make up lies about me, and I had to check them on it and stuff like that just to get me thrown out and try to get me canceled out the fandom. Elamar knows this very well, and other people know this. These are things that happen. That's why I actually left the fandom and came and started doing other things and stuff like that, because I just didn't want to deal. And that's when I said that I'm never going to cover a show unless they have a black lead again on all the shows, because I didn't want to deal with it. When I was doing Kind of Thrones and I was on a panel every year I did a panel called What's It Like Being a Person of Color in This Fandom? And all people of color would come to that panel and tell crazy stories about how they were treated by the white people of that fandom, how they didn't feel accepted and how they were made fun of and everything else and called all a bunch of names. And it was packed. That was one of the most packed panels. And I had to do that every year. And I hated having to do that panel for that reason, because it was just a stupid thing to have to even deal with. But that is what happened. That's what it was. So don't think there aren't segments like that inside of this fandom, because there are. They're in every fandom. That's just what it is. That's the way it's going to go. But in the end, the only way to beat people like that is to call them out on their bullshit. You can't just sweep it under a rug. You can't just let people say stuff or think they're getting away with smiling about you and kikiing and shit and thinking that that shit is good. But then when they're in your face, they all telling you that, yo, you my man, right? And you can't have that. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to be cool, you got to be cool. And if you're not, you ain't going to be, you can't be any other way. You know what I'm saying? So it's either one way or the other. You can't ride the middle on certain things and stuff like that. So there's always going to be problems and stuff like that inside of fandoms and stuff. But in the end, the only way to defeat that is to call them out when you see it, make them feel unwanted, and get them the fuck out. And that's just the way it goes. Any other way, it just won't work. If you let them just lurk there and you act like it don't happen, then they'll just keep doing what they're doing. And that's just the way it goes and stuff like that. So let's keep this fandom as healthy as we can. Let's keep this fandom as fluid as we can. And that's what it is. And people are asking, like, why I say that's because people try to like accuse me indirectly of doing leaks or something, and then taking leaks and putting in my video and saying stuff like that when I put my stuff out, or having the episodes beforehand and then acting like I didn't have them and going out there and making videos and stuff like that, which is something I wouldn't do. I'll tell you, the first time I ever got a screener, and the reason why I got it for House of the Dragon. And I felt so special to have it, because when I got that screener for House of the Dragon, no other Game of Thrones YouTuber had the screeners. I was the only one. All of them, Joe Magician, Shift All X, Carmine, Preston Jacobs, Gray Area. None of them ever didn't have the screeners. So when I got it, I was like, oh my God, I got the screeners. I'm so special. I have all these screeners. But what did I do when I got them? Did I just keep them for myself? No, I gave all of them the contact information, and they all got the screeners. I didn't try to hold it hostage, and so I could be the best. I gave it to Bridge 4, gave it to Phil, gave it to Gray. Gray gave it to everyone in that fandom. I gave them all the contact information so that they could have it also, because that's who I am. But I'm telling you, when I watched those screeners, it ruined that season for me so bad. When I already knew what was going to happen and had to come on and do a live stream and not spoil shit for people and try to say stuff. It was so terrible. It was such a terrible experience. It was a gift, but it was a curse. And I said right after that I'm never watching a screener for a show that I care about to watch ever again. And I've stuck by that. And that is what it is. I would never do that, because it was such a horrible experience trying to do it that I just did not like it at all. So I'll never do it again. I got it trying to be, trying to inflate my own ego, and it did. But in the end, it turned out to be a curse. So I never again did that. And I never have. And I refuse to do it again, because I do not want to do that, because it truly ruined everything. And that's just what it was for me. And all that. So that's, and I've told y'all that. If y'all on the show, I've told y'all that before. I've already said that's what it was, and everything with me with these screeners and stuff. So no, it ruins everything, and that's just not for me, and everything else. So
yeah, having a show ruined by spoilers. I think it happened to me for the first time watching the Game of Thrones. I was modding Kev's, one of the Bridge 4's channel or stream, and the comments were going, we were, trying to get if there is some kind of a spoiler or something, and literally I saw a spoiler, and we were trying to get them out in time so others wouldn't see it, or however it was. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, oh my God, like, it comes with a price, modding somebody, because if I would be just listening to a show, they wouldn't state it. But then being a mod, I was looking at everything to make sure I catch whatever is weird. And I'm like, being spoiled like that. So I get from your side, but you make theories and making theories on something you already have it ruins not only the fun, it actually technically the shows that you love, it ruins the fun of it for you, I'm sure.
100%.
So
It wouldn't make it. It's not about being right when you're a theory crafter. It's the actual process of coming to that theory.
Yeah.
Like I said, I came from Game of Thrones, where this is before Search of Ice and Fire, right? Where now you can just put in any phrase and it'll pull up the book that phrase was used in. When I first started doing this stuff on YouTube, there was none of that, right? You literally had to go through, I had to go through every book, read every book, highlight something, read another book and be like, wait a second, that reminded me of something. Go back to that book, find that, piece that together, find it in another book. It would take weeks, months to come up with theories, coming back, reading this, reading that, reading this, reading that, checking that, cross-checking that, cross-checking this. That was the whole fun of it. That's why I did it. And everything else. That's what, and I turned out to be wrong with some of them, but I turned out to be right with a lot more. But that was the fun. The fun was actually doing it. It's not about being right. That's a bonus if you get it right. But it's the actual work you put into it to do it that makes it all fun and worth it, you know, and everything else. So that's why I do it. And that's why I'm so, I think, good at easy for me to do these ones. Because that was such hard work. This is just watching the show. Rewinding the show, watching the show, rewinding the show, and watching the show, and all that. That whole going through the books and everything else. That was
and those are heavy books too.
Yeah.
It's not it's like you can kill somebody with that.
Yeah, those are tomes. You know what I mean?
You don't want to drop that on anybody.
That's what it is. So it wouldn't make sense for me to do that. And it just wouldn't work for me. And again, it's not important to me. It's not as important. Maybe to other people it's that important. And if it is, then fine. That's cool. But to me, it really isn't that important. To me, it's just connecting with people, talking about something that I love to talk about with people, and making a guess. And if the guess happens to come out right, I hit on a couple this year. I was wrong on a couple this year. That's the way it usually goes. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. It just goes like that. You know, so I'm sure other people aren't as experienced at doing that, so it's harder for them when they see something like, oh, people want to be skeptical, and you can be, that's fine. But if you look at my history from my channel from the beginning, you know, whether it's Dexter, Mayor of Easttown, where I guessed the killer of Mayor Easttown in the second episode, Stephen King retweeted my tweet that I guessed it in the second episode, that Stephen King retweeted it and said this guy guessed that episode right there. That's how I guessed that in the second episode of who killed that person right there. And I was even skeptical on that one myself, and it turned out to be right. Oh, throughout all the stuff that I've done, Open Range, I told people in the first episode that Autumn was the little girl. First episode, caught it, put it in there, turned out to be right. Right? Done this, man. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at. Doesn't really do nothing. But
Tony, you gotta be the detective. You gotta be the detective.
It's something that you do. You know what I mean? You can go through show after show. I've hit many shows. This ain't new to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is, and everything else and all that good stuff. You know, but I miss Out of Range too. Season 2 was so much better than season 1. I really wish they didn't cancel it. They really had something going there and stuff. The Peripheral, I wish they would have kept too. A couple of shows I wish they would have kept, because I had some things for that show and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's what it's about. And like I said, when I first started doing this from stuff, me and LMR, you know, we had 10, 15 people in the chat. You know what I mean? And it really was, and I'm being honest about it, and people can take it the way they want. But this being a viable YouTube media where people can do videos on this show is because of me, period. And people could say it's because of me. It was the views that I received from doing this show that other channels, whether they admit it or not, it's the truth. I'm telling you, because I know the YouTube game, seen and said, if this guy can get this many views, that means there's a fan base for it. Therefore, I'm going to jump on this show the following season. And they did. Because bigger channels don't have time to check every show because they're businesses. So they wait and see if there are viable views for this show. And when I was getting 30 to 50,000, 70,000 views on my channel, they said, well, this is a viable show with a good enough fan base that now we could put our time in there to make videos about it, because now we know that there are people willing to watch. And that is why you see all these other channels right now, not the smaller ones who started, because I'm sure they're fans, but I'm talking established YouTube channels, come on and do this because they seen my videos. And that was it. And that's guaranteed. I mean, you can look at people like even that dude who came on is a really good creator. He's doing this thing beyond Premiere. When he came on the stream with me, what did he say? He said, the first videos I've seen on from were your videos. You know, it was my videos that he's seen on there, right? And it's not just him. He admitted it, which is great for him. And I told him, thank you very much. But that's what it is. And that's the way the game goes on YouTube. And that's what it is. People aren't going to big channels are not going to follow shows, and they may like them, but they won't do videos on them unless they can actually make some money on them if they have a thing like that.
Yeah, when they're established already as an fandom for it.
Yeah. And that's just the way it goes. A Bone says, since we have a lot of time until season 4, will you be covering other shows like Severance? Yes, we will be covering all those shows. Promise you that. Candace of Watchers of the World joke, maybe Fatima will give birth to a rotten cabbage. And amusingly, she was almost part. So you're right. She was. You're right. Real Nickman Theories said straight up that, had the whole egg philosophy. And if you look at his whole thing with his whole egg thing, it turned out this whole thing turned out to be a bunch of egg, some plots in there and everything else throughout the whole show. And people laughed at him and said his theories would never come right. And that whole thing was 100% right. You know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes and stuff like that. But in the end, when I say it, like people follow me over here, I'm not saying that in a bad way. Don't think. I'm just saying that's business. That's the business of YouTube. And people have to understand that YouTube is a business. People make money on this. That's why when people say things or do things and can affect people's money or do anything else like that, you know what I mean? It's not a good thing, because that's why you never hear me ever. Even when I had beef with like other people from Game of Thrones, I've never ever once mentioned these people's names, because I always say I never want to mess up anybody's money, because I understand that I am an influencer and I don't want anyone to be influenced by me not to go watch somebody else's video. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to just get along and do my thing. And for that being said, in the end, because of this whole thing, I'm going to have to close the ranks down. I'm really only going to be able to mess with the people that are my people, and I'm going to have to keep that circle like that. And again, I've always tried to be inclusive, and a lot of people in here. You can see I've always had people, no matter the subscribe account, come on my channel and help build that channel. And we're going to have smaller channels and help them out and still help them grow, like Julie and PM. And we're going to do things like that now. But as for the other people, we're going to keep it in the house from now on, just so that we don't have to deal with that situation and everything else and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? And people have said, seeing my picture, because I said, people like, oh, why you like Acosta? And I said, she reminded me of my first girlfriend I ever loved. And I posted a picture of us. And I think I was 16 in that picture. People saying, I think I was 16 in that picture. And I think she's like a year younger than, so I think she was 15. And I think I was 15. And because she looks like Acosta. Acosta looks like her because she's older than Acosta and everything else. That's and I posted that picture. People were like, oh, look at you, Tony Tipline. You like the snow bunnies. I'm like, listen, bro. I'm from Queens, New York. I know what people didn't grow up the way I grew up, because I grew up in the city and all that good stuff. But when you grow up in New York City, especially in my neighborhood, you grow up with every race of person in the world. And I've had every friend from Korean, and I'm telling you, to be honest, I've dated every race of woman on this planet. I don't think there's a race I haven't. That girl was Czechoslovakia. I dated Russian, dated Polish. I've dated Chinese, dated Japanese, dated Dominican, dated Puerto Rican. Obviously, I love my sisters. Dated many black women. Or I've dated a chick from Ethiopia, straight from Ethiopia. Dated one. I dated a chick from Africa whose grandfather was killed by Idi Amin. All right, named Cece. Dated every race. That's the way it is. I know it's hard for people who don't grow up in an area like New York City, but everyone does. That's just life. It's no disrespect to anything else, because I had women and in the comments said, I gotta leave his channel now because of this. Bye. Go right ahead.
They really said that? Oh my
yeah, go right ahead.
Oh my god.
That's fine. If that's what you have to do, that's fine. I don't care. That was a very important time in my life. It helped shape me as a man, as a young boy into a man and stuff. And I will never, and that is when I was young, I didn't look at things like booty size or boob size or anything like that. I just liked her, loved her for who she was. And that was it. And I thought she was very pretty. And that was it. Now you get all this other stuff. You get older, you start looking at other things. Her ass ain't big enough. Her titties ain't big enough. This is back then when I was young, you know what I mean? You just, she was pretty, and we got along really well. And that's what it was. So
that's a great story, Tony.
I'm not ever going to be ashamed of that and anything else. And anybody who wants to say anything about it, go right ahead. That's fine. But yes, I have dated many snow bunnies. I've dated many sisters, Puerto Ricans, and every other race across this goddamn planet. I've done tried everything. And that's the bottom line, because I'm the goddamn Don. Luna, thank you so much. You're right, Tony, but don't undermate your familiar. We connect with your authenticity and your integrity, you shine. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that and everything else. And all that good stuff and everything else. All right, let me get up out of here. Obviously, I am not feeling the best. So hopefully we can get over here. Let me just say thank you all. I'm sorry that I even had to say that stuff. I wasn't trying to offend anybody, and I hope it wasn't taken out of context. I'm just truly, what I'm saying when I said that was, people don't know who I am. So people may think certain things because you don't know me. So hopefully now you know me a little bit better, so you can understand who I am as a person and why those things I would never do. All right. So if you like the way we do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm. Happy Thanksgiving. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace.
And